Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people. The day after the teaser trailer for Starseeker dropped, Joe and Adam from System Era jumped into a live stream for a quick reveal Q&A. While they did not go into any specifics about the gameplay loop, they did answer a lot of questions. So let's do a very quick recap of what they talked about. If you want to watch the entire hour-long VOD, it should still be up on System Era's YouTube channel, and I will include a link to it in the description down below. I will mention what the general question was, and then I will edit down the answers from Adam and Joe to include the most important bits, and I'll let their answers speak for them. At the very end, I'll provide a quick summary of my thoughts following the stream. Up first, what is Starseeker?
Yeah, listen, Starseeker, it's definitely the next game from System Era. It is the next game within the Astroneer universe. We really want to make experiences that connect all of its players together, and that you're engaged together. And Starseeker is a game about standing shoulder to shoulder with people. We're not making an MMO, but I want to make an experience where everybody's on the same team. And so Starseeker is you and many, many people. We'll say how many people I think in the future. But you and many, many people are crew aboard the ISS Starseeker, this state-of-the-art space station on a journey of discovery, in a game that is all about going on cooperative expeditions with your friends and the friends that you're making on the space station. And also a game that's trying to build camaraderie amongst its people.
Is the game online only? If so, can I still play alone?
Yeah, there's two things that I think people should know. One, it is an online game. You do need to have an internet connection to play this game. But it is a game that you can play by yourself. You can log in and join the Starseeker. And while there will be many, many people, many other Astroneers walking around, you can still embark on an expedition by yourself. And there's a chance you come across other Astroneers that are doing their thing on a planet while you're down there. But you can totally go on solo expeditions and just do your thing while you're down there, and log in on your own. But I think you're going to notice that this game can't help but make some friends for you in the way that we connect players and show the progress and things that everybody's going through. And so, yes, it is. It just by the nature of the game, it requires an online connection. We need to be able to support players that want to play on their own as well, for sure.
What is the ESS Starseeker and what are the expeditions?
Yeah, to me, the ESS Starseeker is the star of the show. It's in many ways, it's the main character, and we happen to be its crew as the Astroneers. And to us, an expedition represents missions that we are doing on the planets that we are in orbit of, in circulation of, in service of the Starseeker and the objectives that it has as a space station that is state of the art, and travels from star system to star system to explore and discover new things. That I think is really compelling, and we aren't ready yet to fully reveal the gameplay behind the expeditions. It's PvE only, we can say that. We're not a competitive game. Astroneers don't shoot each other. That's not what they're about. We are about standing shoulder to shoulder and being on the same team. And so it's a game that's all about embarking on those expeditions and how do you plan and pack for them, and what are you bringing down, and what role do you want to play? What do you want to do while you're down there? And how do you accomplish those goals?
What platforms will Starseeker be available on?
We plan on having it on all console platforms. Obviously, we announced during the Switch 2 showcase yesterday. We already have store pages up for Sony. You can wishlist there. We're going to be on Xbox. But yes, we are on all those platforms.
I think if you go to the website, we actually list all the platforms right there for you.
How long has Starseeker been in development?
How long has it been in development? There was a small team. I mean, you can cover this in more detail, but there was a small team in 2020, I think. That was the prototype squad, and then it became more of a full thing in 2023. And then you were working on it a little bit before then, you were thinking about it. And
I was working on it. I mean, I started thinking about it just before the pandemic, and like full-time thinking about it just before the pandemic. And it was myself and another engineer, Evelyn, in 2020. And so we dove head on into a whole run of R&D about what makes sandboxes fun. Are physical simulations fun? Is completely gamified physics fun? What does that look like? How do we adapt that to our voxel system, which, as you've seen in the teaser that we put out, it's got a complete overhaul. There is a glow up across the board if you're used to the planetary experience from Astroneer, certainly in Starseeker. And so we just spent a lot of time on there. And then really, I think the team hit its stride around end of 22 to early 2023, where we brought on a lot of folks that were working on Astroneer to help out. And now we are supporting Astroneer with a team that's the same size that the Astroneer team has always been, I believe. And everybody else is working on Starseeker with us.
Is terrain deformation going to be in Starseeker? And what about water?
Yeah, it's a primary part of this game. By default, everybody can interact with terrain in a way that feels very much familiar to Astroneer for sure. I think one of the differences with Starseeker is there's a much more of an action focus inside of this game in terms of, we don't want to just have one way of deforming terrain, but we are exploring many ways that terrain can be deformed, but also just ways in which terrain is dynamic. One of the first things that Brennan focused on was introducing dynamic voxels, because we knew we wanted things like water to come through the world. And sure enough, the first thing, when I remember very vividly when he showed me water working on the planets, the first thing I did at his desk was swim underneath it and poke a hole in the bottom to watch the water come through. We're on all the prime consoles right now, so making sure it feels great from a controller, really prioritizing that. Whereas if folks don't know, Astroneer started with Steam in mind, so we had a mouse and keyboard approach to that. And so with Starseeker, we're taking a controller first approach, and so we're just making sure that it's all really fun to pick up a controller, have those moments with it, and then to offer more ways of interacting with terrain than just the terrain tool. And then making sure that the terrain itself is dope, right? Like it's not just sand like what you're used to from Astroneer.
There was that's sort of a little leak right there, and you were mentioning it about water. People saw water in the video, and they were like, "Oh, is it static? Is it just like a thing that's just there? Is it like we choose a line on the planet and everything below that is water?" The water will flow. The water will change. You can manipulate it. And in fact, actually, we had to do that for this video because the place where we decided to shoot in had a waterfall in front of that cave, and it was just like in the way of the shot.
How far into development is Starseeker? What about a beta test?
Right now, Starseeker's in production. We are all cylinders are fired. Everybody and anybody that can contribute to Starseeker is right now, and it's pre-alpha. It's a pre-alpha state. Unlike Astroneer, we are not going to release it in the pre-alpha state. We are going to keep it in the oven. Keep it in the oven as long as we can. Good Lord, I hope we don't do that again. But no, it's full production, and everybody's involved. And we are playtesting it. As a group, we're playtesting it every week. As individuals working on different initiatives, we playtest within those meetings. And it's full swing right now. You know what we are doing though?
Yeah.
You know what we are doing though? Joe, we're doing a beta.
We are.
If you go to starseekergame.com right now, you'll get the instructions on where you can look to get involved in the beta. We'd love to have you come through.
Yes, please do that.
Not out right now. Beta's not live. It's coming up, but we are trying to get our audience to come through to make sure that y'all can help us kick the tires on this thing.
What is different in Starseeker opposed to Astroneer? And is Starseeker a continuation of Astroneer?
Yeah, I'll say it out loud. This is not Astroneer 2. This is not another, base building survival sandbox game. I don't know how else to say it. We are action science heroes aboard a dope-ass space station that is state-of-the-art, that is sending its crew down for various missions that you're taking from the Starseeker, and trying to continue the mission as its crew. So there's so much more that we're exploring here, right? And whether it's like, what have we showed, right? Like swimming, scanning. Like scanning is such a scanning was an Astroneer, right? We walk up to a thing, you press the button down, it goes boop, 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 and you scan it. This is a different kind of scan. It's a lot more. It's skill based. It's a lot more interactive. You saw some of that happening in the trailer. The Starseeker is a shared social space. It is a space to engage with other Astroneers, to team up, to make friends, to see how y'all are helping each other out. Some folks picked up on the climbing. I saw like one video where they were like dissecting the climbing that's there. Cause like I said, it's not just about the terrain tool this time around, right? It's of course there's a terrain tool interaction with the world, but so many other ways to interact with voxels as well, like climbing. We want to give players choices of how they interact with this stuff. And by the way, you don't just climb on terrain. I'll just say that. There's more things to climb on. But gliding. We have that in the trailer. You, Gene and Spencer did that whole run where you jump off the top of the cliff and you bring the gliders out and you swoop around. And the way that gliding interacts with the other systems in the game is one of my favorite things to play with right now. And unfortunately, I can't say more, but it's really, really cool. But the water is dynamic. It flows. You can, without swearing, you can FAFO, right? Like you can have fun with the water and interact with it in different ways to actually complete objectives as well. I think you're getting a hint of it in some of the screenshots that we've shared, and certainly in the teaser. But the worlds are way more lush. From the toppest of levels for Starseeker, there is a glow up that is applied to this, so that if you're coming back to see a new Astroneer game, whether it's the worlds, the creatures, the item designs, the exodynamics aesthetic that we've applied to all those Astroneer things from the Astroneer program, all of that's getting a glow up, and so it's. So how is the gameplay different? In many, many ways, but you're still Astroneers, right? Like you're still going down there to do science. You're still going down there to discover. You're working together. You're interacting with terrain. You're exploring spherical planets with caverns, and now water and other systems in there. Biomes that are cranked up. Our biomes are true biomes now. They include creatures like we saw.
I think we'll get into this more. There are certain things that are not in this game or not a focus of this game, and I think that's also sort of important to talk about at this point. I don't think we need to get into like specific features, but whereas Astroneer is you living and existing in one solar system, and like that is like a save, and like that is still Astroneer, and that's I think why we made the distinction to not say this is Astroneer 2, because that would be a new game that we might make that is focused on the same mechanics or similar mechanics to Astroneer, whereas this game is more focused on this cooperative exploration, the Starseeker thing. So I think I want to just call that out, that is, and for people who really want that, I'm excited to do another one of these streams to talk about what we're planning on doing for Astroneer's future content. And I think without releasing too much about that, we're definitely doubling down on content that is Astroneer only. We're saying like, hey, Starseeker is a game for this kind of player and for this kind of thing, and it is online. It's a multiplayer game. You can play it single player, but it does have lots of people in it. But we can still keep adding things to Astroneer and getting people excited. And like, if there's something that you really want that's not in Starseeker, it's still in Astroneer and it still might be getting updated. So I'm really excited that we are continuing to develop for it, because I think we can kind of have both going, where if you love Astroneer, that game is still doing its thing, and then we have this new kind of gameplay.
Was the teaser trailer in game or just pre-rendered?
That was in engine. That was in the game. Like that was, this was not like some CGI thing that we did. That was all like us using and the engine that we're using. Oh, you should cover that as well. So,
and then that trailer was from the game. It was content from the game. It's a planet from the game. It's suits and backpacks and tools and creatures and biomes from the game, animations from the game, abilities from the game. The area that it's in with the waterfall that we're talking about, I go by there all the time when we're running around. I see it all the time, and I'm like, oh, there's the teaser area. It is for the most part as close to what we're doing in the game as possible. Now, of course, there's things that we do, if not to get too techy, but there's things that we do through what's called Sequencer, which is where we can do some keystroking of where characters are, because we're building a trailer after all. But no, a lot of it is us running around, recording what we see, and then touching it up when we need to. For lack of a better term, I have no interest in BSing our audience, and so it's really important that we are as true to the game as possible.
When will you tell us more about the gameplay of Starseeker?
When are we going to hear more? Okay, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, I think we already kind of mentioned that this isn't a gameplay reveal. This is the game reveal, so this is technically like just a teaser. We kind of, in the way that we operate, of course, we did way more than... Like, we went really in to like do this teaser to maximize the amount of time that we had in this showcase. But yeah, this is technically just a teaser, and then we'll get into more actual detailed gameplay stuff and show gameplay video and explain the whole gameplay loop sometime later this year.
Will there be a separate Discord for Starseeker?
Someone asked this question, and I'm just going to call it out. We're not going to have its own Starseeker Discord. We're keeping the Discord as is, and we're actually just going to turn it into the System Era Discord eventually, and it'll have all of our games, thinking forward. I don't want to control two different Discords. That sounds terrible. It sounds really...
Will there be crossplay?
People keep asking about crossplay. We have nothing to announce about it at this time. But, you know, everyone wants it. People keep asking about it. But we're not saying anything because, yeah. I'll add to that. Partially, the reason why we can't say anything or wouldn't say anything now is because it's not just up to us. Like, we could wish for that all day, but there are platform restrictions. There are people who have their own rules and things like that. So, you know, a thing we will come back to later.
Are the planets in Starseeker procedurally generated as they were in Astroneer?
This time around, where we use procedurality is actually in the development side of the planet creations, and so the dev team, the artists, the level designers, gameplay, and you know, expedition designers, things like that. We use procedurality to get a lot of the heavy lifting done because our worlds are, I will say that they're a little larger than Astroneer's planets, and so we use procedurality to get some of that heavy lifting done. But because this is such an experience about fostering community and camaraderie, you know, one of the pillars for our game focuses on mastery, and we want players to be able to jump down to our planets, and they have names. I'm just not ready to reveal them yet. And master those planets so that when you and your friends are down there walking around, you could be like, oh, I know exactly where we are. This is the teaser waterfall, and if we just head left from here, I can get us to the cave entrance that we're all looking for. And it's about learning and having that intimate experience with those planets over time, so that, you know, should we turn the page on our players, or should something happen in the narrative, or should something come up in a quest that, or in an expedition that you're doing, that you as players can understand those worlds and embark on them. And so this time around, the planets are not procedurally generated like every time you embark on an expedition, but we certainly use procedurality in the generation of them on our end when we're crafting them.
You know, a thing that is designed by an art person is there, and it's there for everyone, and it's a thing that everyone can see and visit, and you know, understanding where that is part of the fun of the game, of being like, we all have a shared language about this area on the map. We all have you know, and I mentioned this earlier, like with the trailer thing, right? That cave exists, and maybe the community comes up with a name for that, or maybe they see it. Maybe that cave's going to be there in the, you know, when we actually get the game out the door, and they'll be like, this is the trailer cave. You know, like, we can totally have moments like that, and anyone can visit it and stand there and have fun in it.
Will Starseeker support mouse and keyboard, or just controller input?
Yeah, if my controller's off, I run around with mouse and keyboard when I'm playing. For sure, we're going to support it. Yeah, we're not trying to alienate audiences, and the preferred way in which you want to play. But it's just that this time around, we are just taking more of a controller first focus on how you interact with the game, so that when we bring it to, and when it's on the consoles that we've listed, it is built for those experiences. Whereas Astroneer, we had to kind of like retroly react to that and bring, you know, change our settings there.
Yeah, in my brain, it feels easier to make sure that keyboard and mouse reflects what we want on controller versus the other way around. And I think that's the way we're thinking about it this time, which is just like, hey, we don't want it to be an afterthought. We want it to be a primary thought while we're thinking about how the game controls.
Is Starseeker a premium game, or is it free to play? I'm going to leave in the majority of this answer from Adam because I think it speaks very well to how Systemera values their players.
No, whatever. I'll say it's a premium game. We're not a free to play game. Like, I'm not trying to make a game that's influenced by what free to play is. I have no interest in that business model, how that feels. I almost swore. I'm trying to be really good about not swearing on the stream today. I'm just very passionate about this, where I think that there is so much influence that happens to game design with free to play models that I've got no interest in that. And so, you know, and also, like I said, we're a small team. We are punching above our weight. If we go and do that, I think that we're going to make decisions that have a negative effect on the game. And what I'd rather do is build an experience that, you know, you are buying it because this seems like a game that you want to get into. And then once you're in there and playing it, how you experience it is not, you know, there's not squeeze points. And like when you launch the game, like, you know, when you play like a mobile game that's free to play, and like the first thing you're shown is like how to give us money. It's I almost swore again. F all of that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be influenced by that. And I feel gross. I feel gross when when those sorts of things come up, because it just, especially at System Era, I've got no interest in going that hard at it, especially when a game launches like this. Like I think that it's really important that we design the game that we want to design without major impact from its business model in a way that has such crappy long-term effects on how it feels to load that game up. I want it to feel good to load up System Era games.
What are the little orange carrot creatures called?
Oh, I'll answer this question. The names of these fine creatures. You want to do it? You want to answer it, Adam? We said it already, but just say it out loud for the people.
Yeah, those are carrotlings.
Little
and
carrotlings.
you find them on one of the planets that you'll get to play when the game drops.
Will there be new lore? And will there be any familiar characters from Astroneer?
We don't want to get into too much detail there, but there is a story, there is a thing there's a through line to everything that we're doing. We're not just randomly going around. And we're super excited.
We'll have more of that come the summertime to really kind of pull the curtain back on, the narrative tone and the theming of it all, and what it looks like, what that's going to feel like to actually launch this game. I think that we're having a lot of fun in that space too. But now we're just being like, hey, we're making a game about being a crew aboard a, what's the word I say? State of the art space station. God. I've seen Astroneer 711 ask a lot about the Wanderer a lot. That character is near and dear to me for a lot of reasons, but because it's a game that exists in the Astroneer universe and it's part of the Astroneer lore, and it's a game that, like I said, we want to continue to support, indefinitely if we can. Look how long Astroneer's gone. It would make a lot of sense to me that characters that exist from not just Astroneer itself, but from things like the graphic novel, that they come around. And so I think that, are we planning for any in particular characters? That's one thing you'll just have to kind of wait and find out. But it would be crazy to me if we don't see some familiar faces come through in certainly in Starseeker over time, because why not? I was just gonna say, it's not a game that exists on an island, right? And I don't mean that because there's islands on that's not a pun about Starseeker. What I mean by that is, like, it doesn't exist in and of itself, right? Like, it is still part of, it is the next Astroneer game. It is not a continuation of Astroneer, but it is existing in that universe. And so it makes sense that some of these characters that are familiar show up and appear, yes. And just like you've seen in the game already, there's actually some familiar suits that you can choose, right? And so it's already kind of starting in that way.
These games exist in the same universe. They are focused on different ideas, obviously. Like, we're not doing the reason why it's not Astroneer 2 is because we're not directly continuing a specific storyline or something like that. But the narrative themes, some ideas, they still exist in this area. And so that's exciting. And that means that, yeah, there are moments where we could call back to certain things or explore ideas that we didn't get to explore because they didn't make sense for a game like Astroneer. So yeah, that's very, very exciting. I'm super stoked.
And that is all the questions they answered, but Joe had a quick recap for us at the end, including some news about Astroneer's next update.
Starseeker, available to wishlist now. Please go do that on PlayStation and on Steam. It is a brand new game from us, not a DLC, not an update, a brand new separate premium game that exists within the Astroneer universe. It is coming in 2026. We will share more details about gameplay and whatnot in the future. We'll give you some specific details and we'll make a big thing about it. We're gonna share some things, piecemeal, but we're gonna have a big gameplay reveal, and I'm super stoked about that. If you want to get into things like betas, which we're going to be doing at some point, you should go and do that via the link on starseekergame.com. There's a little button down there that says sign up for more news. Just click that and then it'll take you through the flow. That will also just get you to our Discord immediately. So you can sign up to join our Discord via that. We have new social handles. I'll put them, maybe I'll get Lotus to put them in chat, but we got a new Blue Sky. We got a Twitter, an X account. We have a new IG, so go follow us on all those platforms. We're still the same place on YouTube, and now that's the System Era account.
New channels in the Discord.
Yes, new channels
well.
in the Discord. So if you want to catch up, there's a lot of conversations happening. People finding all of the carotlings in the background of the video, all sorts of fun stuff like that. That's all happening in a new channel in a new space on Discord. But we're still at the same Discord. I did make a new subreddit that is the Starseeker Reddit. I don't think most people haven't found it yet, but it does exist. Astroneer development will continue. We're going to have multiple updates for it. That's going to continue on. So if there's things that made you sad today that we decided are not going to be in Starseeker, that's because it's going to remain in Astroneer. And I'll have more details for everyone about that coming up soon, about just like what we're developing. And we have started on a pretty large update, and we're in the, pre-production phase there, and we have some really, 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 really cool ideas I'm so excited about. So that's the spiel. That's everything. StarseekerGame.com. Go wishlist it on Steam.
Adam had some parting words for the stream as well.
To be here and to have the opportunity to talk about our next game at System Era is incredibly special, and in a lot of ways it can be, depending on who you speak to, it's rarefied air. And so we feel fortunately lucky to be able to be here to do this. And I truly mean that. When we started System Era, we never thought we'd be in a space to be able to talk about the second game, because we just have to make sure the first one kicks ass. And so many of you have been there on that journey with us, and of course I can see so many of you still looking forward to stuff for Astroneer, and that's still super important to us. But we are also now taking big swings and doing it with a chip on our shoulder, with what it means to have a game that feels good to play it as a player, and to do it in a way that we can sustain ourselves as developers and not burn ourselves into the ground or blow up to thousands of people. I almost swore there. I think I might have. And I just feel very fortunate for that. And so truly, for myself and everybody at System Era, thank you. And I can't wait to tell you all more. It's going to be so cool.
Yep, he did indeed swear, and I'm not going to edit it out, which is fine. I love the passion that comes through in what Adam was talking about, so a small F-bomb is fine. I usually don't lean so heavy on full clips during my dev stream recaps, but I thought this one was important to let Adam and Joe speak for the team without me trying to summarize it. I would encourage you to check out the entire VOD on YouTube to see everything. I included all of the questions that were asked with edited responses about them, but there was a lot more on offer, including a longer segment in which Adam spoke about his inspiration for creating Starseeker. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to hit the like button and drop down in the comments to talk about what you learned today. And if you are looking for great Astroneer and Starseeker content, including update news and dev stream recaps, then be sure you get subscribed. And with that, until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.